Have you ever stopped to think that perhaps your biggest enemy isn't stress, money, or time, but rather that voice inside your head that says, just one more video, this won't hurt, leave it for tomorrow? Well, yes. And the scariest thing? Think of it this way. You don't wake up craving a cigarette if you've never seen one. The brain needs a trigger. A friend of mine swore he only ate chocolate at night out of anxiety, but discovered the cycle began when he watched recipe videos at 6 p.m. This voice doesn't even seem like an enemy. It feels like an ally. Until you spend another night scrolling through your phone, eat the thing you promised yourself you wouldn't, and ask yourself, why do I do this to myself? The answer lies with a samurai who lived in the 17th century and who knew more about his mind than any productivity app today. This warrior was called Musashi. He never lost a battle, but what few people know is that his true weapon wasn't the sword, it was the mastery of his mind. Book of 5 Rings. He wrote something that feels like a punch in the gut. Try this. For 3 days, write down every time you feel an impulsive desire. Next to it, write what happened 30 minutes before. You'll be surprised by the patterns. And it's in that detail that everything changes. No striving for perfection. Just one practical step after another, so you can stop being hostage to your impulses and start leading your own life, like a true knight. And the most interesting thing? It all starts long before you give in. The mind is like a wild horse. If you don't tame it, it will drag you wherever it wants. And that's exactly what happens to us every day. The difference is that while he faced enemies with weapons, we face desires with notifications, sweets in the fridge, and 1,000 silent temptations. What you're about to discover isn't just another magic formula for willpower. It's an ancient strategy used by one of history's greatest warriors, adapted to your modern routine. No suffering, no guilt. What to do? Simple. Identify where the seeds are being planted. Is it Instagram? A WhatsApp group? The smell of fresh bread in the bakery? Once you see the entry point, you can fortify the fortress. Desire doesn't come from nowhere. It is planted. You know that sudden urge to grab your phone and scroll endlessly? Or that craving for something sweet even when you're not hungry? It seems like it comes out of nowhere, but it's not. In reality, the desire was already there, silent, like a seed buried in the ground. Now imagine you're not alone in this. Everyone has seeds being planted all the time. Social media, algorithms, ads, routines. What separates those who control from those who are controlled is perception. The mind is a horse, and you are not the horse, you are the rider. Have you ever stopped to think that your mind doesn't always work in your favor? It wants candy, it wants to scroll through your phone, it wants to put off work, all in the name of immediate comfort. Reigns. But often we get confused with the horse and end up being dragged along. Because when you see the seed, you stop being a victim of desire. And then the question arises. If desire is already within, who is in charge of the fortress? When you start to see through these false friends, the game changes. You stop judging only the obvious and start investigating the subtle. And then comes the next layer. How to create a space between desire and action before impulse takes over. The blank space technique. You didn't even notice when it was planted. It could have been an advertisement, a conversation, a scent on the way to work. And like every seed, it needs fertile soil. Distraction, fatigue, boredom. That's when it sprouts, disguised as a need. The same goes for seemingly harmless routines. Checking your phone when you wake up, for example. It seems quick, but it opens the floodgates to distraction, anxiety, and comparison. And the worst part? You justify it. It's only a minute. But that minute turns into 20, and the day has already started off on its axis. The lesson here is clear. Not every desire needs to be fought, but all deserve to be questioned. Before acting, ask yourself, does this bring me closer to the life I want or further away? A common mistake? trying to dominate the horse with brute force. "I'm not going to touch my phone today," you say, and 3 minutes later, there you are scrolling through stories. This happens because you're fighting instinct, and instinct always wins over emotion. Musashi knew this. He didn't try to break the horse, he learned to guide it. And that's exactly how you need to treat your impulses, not as enemies to be destroyed, but as forces to be directed. I myself fell into this trap for years. I thought a glass of wine at night was a peaceful ritual, but every morning, I woke up with my heart racing, my mind racing, unable to fall back asleep. This ally was sabotaging me. It wasn't until I stopped and asked myself, and it's in this darkness between stimulus and response that freedom is born. The question remains, how to train this muscle day after day, even when you're not in a crisis. The question that remains is, if the horse is the impulse, what happens to the desires that seem good but lead you down the drain? Is this really good for me, or is it just to feel okay for 5 minutes? That I saw the truth. Desire disguised as need is like a wolf in pajamas. It seems harmless, but it destroys from within. Train your mind like a warrior trains his sword. Musashi didn't become Japan's greatest samurai because he was born with talent. He trained every day, even without battle, because he knew, in the heat of combat, the body doesn't think. It acts based on what has been repeated. I experienced this myself for years. I thought discipline was punishment, until I changed my approach. Instead of saying, "I'm not going anymore," I started saying, "I will, but within limits." Practical example. Now, I scroll on my phone for 10 minutes, timed. In the midst of chaos, there is a powerful silence. Musashi didn't attack in the heat of the moment. He paused, for a second, for a breath. He called it the void before the sword. And in this void, the mind reorganized, the body aligned, the decision became clear. Then I turn it off. It seems small, but it's a victory for the rider over the horse. The animal still wants to run, but the reins are firm, and each time you do this, you strengthen the muscle of choice. I started applying this in a simple way, counting to 10. Whenever I felt an impulse to buy something online, respond rudely, pick up my phone, I would mentally count back from 10. It sounds silly, but it worked like a reset. Most of the time, by the time I reached 1, the urge had already faded. You see, you don't need to eliminate desire. You just need to not be dominated by it. The horse may pull, but you decide the direction. And when you understand this, everything changes. Today, we no longer have this void. Between desire and action, we jump straight in. See a sweet? Eat it. Receive an annoying message? Respond angrily? Feel sleepy? Pick up your phone. There is no pause. And it is precisely in this absence of space that we lose control. But in reality, the most insidious enemy is the one who sits next to you, smiles, and says, "Relax. This is just for your good." It's the wine you drink to sleep better, the scrolling on your phone to de-stress, the chocolate truffle after lunch because you deserve it. These are desires disguised as self-care, and precisely because they seem like friends, they enter without resistance. The most dangerous enemy is the one that seems friendly. Some people think the greatest danger comes from the obvious: drugs, heavy addictions, extreme behaviors. That's how I stopped impulse buying, getting into unnecessary arguments, and falling into the loop of easy entertainment. That second of pause became my superpower. You can create your own ritual. It could be taking 3 deep breaths, getting up and walking to the window, or simply repeating to yourself, "Is this necessary?" The important thing is to interrupt the autopilot. Because the second you create this space, you stop being hostage to instinct and become the agent of your own life. The mind works the same way. You don't develop self-control in times of desperation. You build it day by day with small, consistent choices. It's like a muscle. If you don't use it, it atrophies. If you overuse it, it gets injured. But if you train intelligently, it grows. You don't have to get it right every day. You just have to gradually become the rider, not the horse. The one who holds the reins, even when instinct pulls you in the other direction. Because freedom isn't about doing whatever you want. Freedom is about choosing what to do, even when your mind screams in another direction. I started with micro-challenges. 5 minutes without my phone, then 10, then 30. It wasn't about winning all at once, it was about proving to myself that I could choose. And each victory, no matter how small, strengthened my knight identity. And these small, invisible choices are what build an extraordinary life. The question remains, how many invisible battles will you allow yourself to lose just because you didn't know you were at war? Today, I can stay focused for 3 hours without distraction, not by willpower, by habit, because I practiced. Just as you don't learn to drive in heavy traffic, you don't learn self-control only when you're in a crisis. If this video resonated with you, don't miss it. Think about a desire that's holding you back today and apply one of the tactics we showed. Identify the seed, create the blank space, question the false friend, change a detail, just one. Train as if you were in the dojo, create daily rituals, meditate for 5 minutes, turn off notifications for blocks of time. Before eating, ask yourself, am I really hungry? And see what happens. Then come back here and tell me in the comments, what was the first conscious choice you made after watching? And if you want to continue strengthening your mind with strategies from warriors, philosophers, and geniuses, subscribe now. Activate the bell because the next step of this journey is coming. Before buying, wait 24 hours. Small actions, big effects. Because control doesn't come from repression, it comes from repetition. And each time you consciously choose, you sharpen your mental sword. And when the battle comes, and it always does, you're ready. Not by luck, but by preparation. Musashi didn't win every battle because he was the strongest, the fastest, or the bravest. He won because he understood a truth few see. The most important war doesn't happen outside. It happens inside your head.